I'm Wilson Lai.
I'm Benjamin Yap.
And I'm Eli Sands.
And you're watching Deep
Cut.
On Deep Cut, we compare a director's most popular film with a personal favorite chosen by one of us.
We also discuss a director's life in Korea to bring context that helps us view their movies as they may want us to.
In person for the first time in 6 years.
Insane.
All together.
Deep Cut on camera.
Deep Cut on camera.
For the first time ever. It's truly remarkable, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that we started this podcast, 3
years?
Well, we started
years ago.
recording
3.5
almost
years
4
ago.
years ago. Because
Yes,
it would have been like
definitely, yeah.
August 2020,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
No more Zoom delays. No more Wilson Lai
Wilson's bad
internet.
internet.
Say Apple.
Apple. They don't understand that at
Apple.
all.
Okay.
It's our test.
It was our test. It was our test to see how slow my internet was. And they asked me to say fruit names.
Fruits.
And sometimes it took 10 seconds,
Yes.
15 seconds.
And sometimes it led to conversations about what a durian is.
Yes. Oh, this is how you know how much effort we're putting in to make this podcast every single time.
Exactly.
Dealing with technical difficulties and trying to do this video thing for the first time.
Yeah. And Eli flew across the world.
Yeah, literally
here.
halfway across the world
I
to
flew a little
be
bit.
in Singapore right now for us to record this.
Yes.
And Ben is very kindly hosting us.
I am very comfortable at home right now.
Yeah. We are
I
very
didn't
comfortable in
move.
Ben's home right now.
That's great.
Anyway, so what are we doing today?
Well,
What are we talking about?
we are going to be talking about the director of our very, very first episode, Hirokazu Kore-eda.
Yes.
And we watched a movie. We also watched a movie for the first time together in ages.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
Yeah. And we watched one of Ben's favorite movies of all time.
Absolute favorite movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also a movie that threaded together our friendship early on.
Yes.
So
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
And it's the movie picked for the very first episode, or rather the director we picked
Mhm.
for the first episode, because it was Hirokazu Kore-eda was his director that we all unanimously loved
Mhm.
to a great degree.
Right.
And it was also the filmmaker that I wrote this whole essay on in school for.
and
did.
you made a video essay on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
For
about
Still
this
Walking,
movie.
which is this movie that we're talking about today.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Still Walking.
from 2008. I don't have my computer in front of me, so I can't look at the crew and cast stats that we always have in front of us.
Yeah, we can
But
Google it.
We'll
if
just
we need.
wing it.
We can Google it or
Yeah.
we can just make it
We'll
up.
just make it up. Yeah.
Don't hold us to anything that we say on this episode.
Cinematographer Tim
Robbins.
Robbins.
His name is definitely not Tim.
Tim Robbins.
Like the whitest guy ever in like a fully Japanese speaking set. He's like,
Hi, happy to be here.
Here?
Hi, everyone.
Arigato. Sorry.
Because we cannot edit this episode,
Yes.
we do not know what's going to happen. Because usually we edit down the episodes for length
That's
Yes.
true.
and clarity. So
And
this is going to be
content.
unclear, long, and we have no idea what's going to
And
happen.
full of in-jokes, probably.
and honestly, you guys have to deal with that.
Ben told me not to look into the lens. Guess
We've
what
been
I'm
looking
doing
into
right
the lens
now.
constantly, which is fine. So yeah, maybe let's talk about why we picked this movie.
Yeah. That's
But wait, what's
before
happening? What's
that-
happening?
If you are enjoying
happening?
this show,
Oh, we remembered.
be sure to subscribe to us where you listen to podcasts.
I feel like we should just keep on getting.
You're out of focus.
If you
You're out of
I
focus.
hit my leg.
if you like
You're
this
so
show,
out of focus.
please subscribe to us where you listen to podcasts. You could give us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast. That helps us keep making the show. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Letterboxd at Deep Cut Pod. And you can join us on our Discord server so you can talk about movies and more with us. And last of all, we have a Patreon where this episode is coming exclusively
Oh, is it really?
for a bit.
Oh, for a bit, okay.
Exclusively to you guys first. So thank you for your support. And if you just joined our Patreon, thank you for coming along for the ride. That's it. That's the plug. Okay.
And
we're
maybe we'll
moving
do
on.
this more often. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe there'll be
You
more
can
video
fund our
podcasts.
flights.
That would be great.
Okay.
Okay, plug over. So, Still Walking is the first time that we're going back to a director
Yes.
to talk about a film that's already been released.
I thought of a name for
Yeah.
this.
What's
What?
the name?
So for when we have a new movie from a director we've covered, it's Deep Cut Upkeep.
Yes.
Okay.
From when we go back to an older movie, Deep. Are you thinking the same thing? Deep Cut Backup.
Oh, never mind. I said deep cut keep up.
Oh no, that's
But
good.
that doesn't make as much sense. I don't know.
Deep Cut Upkeep. Deep Cut Upkeep.
Keep up. Keep.
Back
You
up.
gotta sit down.
I'm
cut
so
back up.
excited,
You
guys.
gotta
I'm
sit-
just so
and
excited.
you gotta scoot
I
over.
know.
Deep Cut Backup makes it
Screwing
sound
up
like
the
we're
front.
constipated, but
He's still pooping.
We'll workshop this idea. Let's go into the episode.
Perfect.
Okay,
Let's talk about the movie. So yes, who's gonna summarize this movie?
okay. Still Walking is about what's their last name? It's about a family.
The Yokohama family.
Yokohama family who lives in a rural kind of waterside town in Japan where a family reunion is happening. There's the matriarch and patriarch. They're both in their like late 70s probably. And rejoining them is the daughter and her husband and two children. And separately, the middle son, Ryota, his new wife and her son. Not present is Junpei, the eldest son, who we learn died saving a young boy who was at risk of drowning 12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years ago.
And they are gathering for his
Funeral anniversary, something like
Or
that.
It's
death
an
anniversary,
annual
right?
Yeah, death
gathering that
anniversary.
they have.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So at this, there are several meals that are shared. There's small talk. There's cooking. There's bickering, and old tensions come out. New fissures emerge,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
it's, as with all of Kore-eda's movies, very thoughtfully and closely observed in remarkable detail and with very precise framing.
Wow. You're so good at this.
Aw, shucks.
Okay, spoiler warning for this film. Go watch this movie. It's one of the best movies ever made. We're
Yes.
gonna go
It's
deep
so
into spoiler
good.
territory and talk about it. So maybe we just start off with what you guys feel about the movie, your connection with the movie.
Yeah.
Like Eli, I
Mm.
know you had this ritual where you would watch this with your father.
Yeah, so I would watch it every New Year's Day for like a few years in a row.
Wow. I didn't know this.
But really, before that, I believe I said this in our original Kore-eda episode, but Ben introduced me to Kore-eda when he took me to see, I'm being good about levels, to see Our Little Sister at the Angelica Film Center in like 2016 or something.
Yeah, or maybe 2015.
Maybe even,
Yeah.
2015, almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
And then I knew that Still Walking was your favorite Kore-eda, so I went and sought it out. And I found it very moving. And then I think that next New Year's Day, I watched Still Walking, and the one after that, and the one after that. And then one of those times I watched with my dad, and it was really interesting to. It's a movie that's so focused on parent-child dynamics
It
to
is.
sort of like
Yep.
watch and reflect on that together. Also, I just love watching movies with my dad and talking about it afterwards. So it was fun to share that.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a movie that means a lot to me. It was really fun to re-experience again this time and remember points that had hit me very closely before and maybe didn't this time around, and find new places that did that.
Mhm.
And also just to share watching a movie with both of you in person for
a
the
great
first time in
experience.
6 years.
Great experience.
Really, really
Mhm.
great experience.
What about you, Wilson?
I'm not as hot in this movie as both of you,
Womp
but
womp.
I love Kore-eda. I love his movies, and I think this is like, if you are a fan of Kore-eda's other films, you have to check this out because it is really, really good. I think the performances are fantastic, especially Kirin, Kiki, and I think the female performances. I feel like the men get the spotlight in terms of the narrative storytelling of this film, but I think the women, the female actresses, really pull the weight of this film, and I think that's what's really fantastic about this. We were talking about when we were watching this how beautiful this film looks, and I think this
Yeah.
is like one of Kore-eda's most like beautiful looking films. I feel like very moved by it, and I think what he's trying to say about family dynamics or tense family dynamics is quite like just on the surface. It's there.
Mm.
you're taking it in. But I think the emotions are still very big, and you can really feel them. And the food, the food.
Well, yeah, some of the best food shots in movies.
And
Yeah.
food sounds.
Oh yeah, sounds delicious, looks delicious,
Mm.
It does.
makes me hungry.
What was the word you taught me? Umai?
Umai.
Umai.
Yeah, Eli's
does
going
it
to
mean,
Japan
Eli?
soon.
Umai.
I guess
Ben,
it's-
what do you think about this? One of your favorite movies of all time?
It's still one of my. I mean, it's my favorite Kore-eda film for sure. And I think a lot of that has to do with the subject matter and the way that it treats family dynamics. For me, I remember my first time watching this. I was in New York on my friend's bed that he was letting me sleep in, like, cause he was not there, so he was just letting me stay in his apartment.
Yes.
Watching it on a MacBook Air, which doesn't even have a high definition screen. That was my first time watching this film, and I was like, "Holy crap, what is this?" And like, I had seen Kore-eda before. I think my first Kore-eda film was Like Father, Like Son on a plane.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that was my first time. And that was like way before I even like knew who he was, really. And I really remember thinking Still Walking was so great then. And I watched it a few more times after, and more recently, I think earlier this year or last year. But I think this is the first time I've actually seen Still Walking with other people at the same time, because I spent a lot of time watching movies on our own.
Yes.
Especially for this podcast, we'll watch things separately.
True.
Yeah, we
And
do.
kind of
Yeah.
talk about it. So it was a very interesting experience watching this with you guys. And because we've all seen it, we were okay talking in the movie.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Don't
do that.
Usually, I would tell people to shut up, but I think I felt comfortable enough to comment on this.
And so it was kind of nice. And I think this time watching it again was interesting to catch all the details that I still have missed. And there's so much richness to the very small world building that's happening in the
Right.
film, and the intricacies of what it means to have these certain relationships. Like, for example, we'll talk about this later, but like Yukari, who is Ryota, who is the son that's coming back, is his new wife, who is a widow who has a son from a previous marriage, right? And the two of them I find really fascinating as like the so-called outsiders to the family, trying to understand this ritual that they have every year, and like being the first time that they have visited the grandparents in this context.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really fascinating to watch. And I always am drawn to what they see and the way they react to what's going around them. And so
Yeah.
I find that to be very strong. And yeah, I just love this movie.
Yeah. It's great. I think it's like showing different models of tense or strained parent-child relationships, and some of them being worked through, others just as it is. I don't think Kore-eda's trying to push anything forward like with some sort of like deep catharsis. But I think maybe by watching this, if you have a tense relationship with a parent, you can achieve catharsis, because I think you understand in a lot of these situations where the parent is coming from and also where the child is coming from.
And what the root of the miscommunication is. And so much of this movie is miscommunication.
It
or
is.
withholding information from each other that gets revealed to the wrong person later on.
It is. It's complex. Yeah, it is actually quite complex. I don't know why I said it's really simple earlier.
Well, maybe because the situation is straightforward. It's a family reunion. Son is lost. They're not super happy with each other. But the way that Kore-eda tells that story in these fine details and like emotionally planting something in someone's face early on that we learn why that hit for them later. How it's told is pretty wrinkly.
Yeah. This little break in conversation, should we call for a little break in our we're usually recording?
What's happening?
Yeah.
Do you
What's
want to go
happening?
first, Eli?
Okay.
What's happening?
Okay, so first, something that you already knew was coming. You
Oh.
ordered a hat
Oh yeah. Sorry.
to my house.
I'm peeking. Yes.
The Hong Sang-soo.
Oh my god.
hat.
This is a Jun Won-sa film production company. This is
We're doing unboxing right now.
this is Hong Sang-soo's production company, and this is the logo from it, and it's really cute. And there's
Okay.
this store. I will link it. They don't sell it. It's out of stock. So, so sorry, y'all. I'm just boasting. Thank you, Eli. I really
Welcome.
appreciate. Thank you for picking
Oh,
it
no
up. for
problem.
me.
No problem. It was easy. I also brought something else you requested, which was
Oh shit!
sorry, a heaping helping of dried blueberries from Trader Joe's.
Dude, oh my god, that's a lot.
What is happening?
An excessive amount of dried blueberries from Trader Joe's.
My mom and I say thank you.
You're welcome. And then lastly, I was thinking about what.
Trader Joe's sponsored this podcast, apparently.
Yeah, hey.
No, they didn't.
I'm open to
You guys
it.
owe us money.
Perfect. And then lastly, I was thinking about like what are good New York things that I could bring you to. To Ben's parents, I brought New York bagels and chocolate babka. But I also, in the last couple of years, have super gotten into thrifting in New York. So the reason I asked you two for your shirt sizes
What's happening?
was I found these old vintage shirts that I took the day before I traveled. I went around to a bunch of my favorites and found shirts that I think you both will like. But if you want to swap or anything, that's okay too.
That is so sweet, Eli.
So I'll go Ben Wilson. First, there's that one.
Oh my gosh.
Seemed like a unique one.
Dude,
Perfect.
These are they're suns that are or flowers that are embroidered.
Just like
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, we're all sons. SONS.
It's true. It's
The
true.
only son.
That's
No,
a
that's
good
not
link to
true.
this
That's not
movie.
true.
For Wilson.
Oh, that's so
This brand is
Wilson.
American Sweetheart.
Yes, that's me.
You are America's sweetheart.
Not American, but I'm their sweetheart. Oh, thanks, Eli.
Of
That
course.
is so sweet.
And then Ben, I'm glad that you did say you wear long sleeve shirts. This is a little Elio
Oh, okay.
from
Elio?
Call Me by Your Name coded a little bit.
Interesting.
Yes.
This is
But
great.
I think it's from the 80s maybe. Looking at the tag,
I
it
think
looks
it's gonna make me
kinda-
look tall. It's got vertical stripes.
It does. Yeah. You were all about that. You were trying to get clothes
My
that make you
fashion
look
is just how do I
taller.
make myself look taller in every way.
Stilt
Support it.
core. And then Wilson, conveniently in the deep cut cover as designed by Justina Yam.
Ooh.
Deep cut green.
Beautiful. Oh my god. Eli, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Of course.
I usually give you virtual hugs, but now I can fucking give you a real hug.
This is so
so wholesome.
Don't want to stand up.
Okay, it's
What?
my turn.
My God.
It is
When you talk about this movie,
I know, but we do this once every 6 years, so
You hid that over there.
what's happening?
I did. I came up earlier
Wow.
and I hid
What's
this.
happening?
So I have things. So, first of all,
Oh,
we're gonna start.
I saw a little bit of this for a second when he dropped it behind.
Oh, that's what that
at the
was.
No,
airport.
it wasn't. No, was it? This is not. These,
I
no,
saw
it's
something.
Not. It was not. That's for me. That was purchases that I made for myself. So these are chirashi posters. There's a
Oh.
store in Hong
Oh
Kong
my
that
God, I saw it.
specializes in chirashi
Oh my
posters.
God.
Oh.
I have 3, so someone's getting 2, but you can fight over them.
That's fine. I will kill Eli.
Thank you.
Hey.
Thank
I'm
you
so
to
frail.
Ben for
Thank you.
introducing me to the films of
Of Eric
Romer.
Romero. Listen to our episodes. They're
That's
great.
lovely.
Their movies are also great.
That was the smoothest plug. That was such a smooth plug.
These are the
Good
Tale
job.
of 4 Seasons,
which
which
we
are
haven't talked about.
we haven't talked about. Very underrated series.
So maybe we can
We
return
can
and talk about
back
them.
up on
Ooh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, we can back
That's not
up
gonna
on
work.
them.
That's not working.
Deep
for
cut.
me.
Keep up.
And to Eli, a film that maybe that year, I think it was the only film that all of us loved
What is
that
this?
year.
Oh. What am I looking?
Oh, After Sun. We don't have an episode on After Sun yet.
We don't.
But our
But-
2022.
One? Two?
Was
Two?
it two?
Two.
Two.
2022.
Yes, yeah.
We talk about it a little
Yes,
bit.
yes,
That's lovely.
Yes.
A
And
film I feel
then-
difficult about, but I think it's very good.
yeah.
And I recently sang karaoke Losing My Religion
Oh,
with a colleague.
very good.
Shout
I
out
really
Julia.
didn't know how that sentence is going.
I was like, with Paul Mescal?
Oh, if only. If only.
And then y'all can fight over this, but I think
Oh,
Eli.
I think you can have it, Eli.
We should cover Cuarón, really.
So
We
this
should.
is Y Tu Mama Tambien, one
That's
of the best
beautiful.
movies of all time.
That's great.
Yep.
We'll decide later. We'll decide
It'll
off
be-
camera.
It will happen at
It's
some
gonna
point.
be mine.
It will
It is
happen.
gonna be yours.
Oh, you're talking
We'll
about
decide
who
it
has
later.
That's fine.
Civilly.
Okay. I'm gonna
Oh my God, we're
I'm
still
gonna move
going.
on to the shirts.
Thank you, Wilson.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
No, do you thank me when I'm done?
Okay.
Oh, he's not done. Bro's
So,
cooking.
I was wandering around Chimsache in Hong Kong, and I came across this store that was
I didn't get any
selling-
gifts, guys.
No, it's
No, you got us these shirts.
you got those shirts. You got those shirts.
I told you from Challengers. Listen to our episode on Challengers. Smooth plug.
So smooth. Okay, so you guys can maybe pick, but this is a store that specializes in T-shirts about famous Hong Kong actors,
Oh.
and we have.
This is gonna be a fight.
Great. I'll hold your mic up to you.
Okay, so we have this pretty iconic.
Oh my
Leslie
god.
Oh.
Show it to
Cheung,
camera.
Oh wow.
where his most famous song "Monica" is at the bottom. We have this, and then we have a Tony Leung, "My Heart."
Oh,
This is
That
hard.
Eternal Rose.
This is tough.
I really like the Tony Leung one. What's your
These
preference,
These are
man?
really
I-
oversized, so you can wear them as pajamas. But I don't think I think they might be really big for like going out. But
We're gonna have to fight, but it's okay. We'll decide this
We'll-
off camera.
we'll figure
it's
it
too
out.
much time right now.
yeah. But yay, gifts!
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And then the last thing.
We'll use them as set deck.
Yeah, you can put them on behind you. Now we have a populated frame, which is so great.
That is really nice, actually, too.
Yeah. So the last thing, Chungking Express, which is our most popular episode,
Mm-hmm. Yet.
yet
So far.
so far. Thank you all for listening to our Chungking Express episode. Celebrated its 30th anniversary, and they coincidentally they did a re-release, a 4K re-release in Hong Kong, and they did a really, really big re-release with all these goodies and
Ooh.
some
Okay.
yeah. So I had the great opportunity of working on something that was related to this re-release.
Mhm.
So I got to go to one of the premiere screenings of the film, and I was able to snag my hands on some goodie bags.
Oh.
So I have two, so you don't have to fight over them.
nice.
Oh, thank you.
Both of you can do a little unboxing.
Ooh.
What's in this goodie bag?
Here we go. And
Wow.
here we go.
Thank you.
You're
Wow.
welcome. So shit, tell us what it is. Tell them what it is.
Okay, so the first item is a boarding pass for the special screening. Name Mr. 633, which is one of the cops from the movie.
Yes.
Departure Hong Kong, arrival scratched out. Where are we going?
Where are we going?
It's not scratched out. It's faded in the rain.
Mm. Yeah.
Like in the movie
Like in the
that
movie.
you saw.
Yes.
Right.
And we talked about. Yikes. Okay, Ben, what's next?
Oh, this is fantastic. This is like a
Let's-
model airplane you can build.
Yes. Yes. It's a
Oh,
Chungking
and then here it's
Express.
Fei Wong on the side. Fantastic.
Pretty awesome.
I
And
probably
then-
will just leave it in. It's like
can.
this.
You
I'm not
can.
gonna build it.
And then
And then this
Oh,
beautiful
the classic.
poster for the 4K release.
Gorgeous.
That's lovely.
Did they change the font? They changed the font. This is
I
a
think
nice
they
font.
did. They did the change font for the
It's
re-release.
a little Wes Anderson-y.
Yeah. But the Chinese font is still the same. So
Mm.
that's what matters.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Wilson.
Thanks so
This
much,
is lovely.
guys.
You're welcome, guys. I love giving gifts. So
Yeah.
this is
I love
makes
receiving
me
gifts.
happy.
Thank
know,
you so much.
Yeah.
now Wong Kar-wai is the director from whom I have the most posters or physical artwork, because last year when Ben visited me in New York, he gave me a beautiful print of an artist's rendition of the lamp from Happy Together,
Oh wow.
which I cherish dearly.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're
No.
welcome. And we had to do it on camera because they're all deep cut related stuff,
This is true.
including the Trader Joe's.
the Trader Joe's
blueberry.
blueberry.
Sponsor us.
I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Blue Velvet, maybe.
yes,
Maybe.
David Lynch. Maybe I will eat this while I watch Twin Peaks.
We can do it now.
Yep.
No, you're take it home to your mom.
Okay.
Okay.
Back to regular scheduled programming. Back to still walking.
We're still walking. Still
We're
recording.
still talking.
Still talking.
Water break.
Sorry.
Eli just.
Testing, speaking. I'm talking, speaking.
Worst case, good thing that's next to you. Yeah.
Mm.
So worst
True.
case, I'll bump you from that. It'll sound bad, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I wanted to ask, do you remember when we started this podcast all those years ago and we were like, okay, we're gonna do Kore-eda. And we were like, okay, popular pick, of course, the newest release that did really well at Cannes. Everyone was raving about it. And then the deep cut pick. And then we pick Afterlife.
Instead of still walking.
Instead of
and
Still
why did we
Walking.
not?
And
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I was thinking about that. And I'm glad we're finally doing Still Walking and we devote a whole episode to Still Walking. But yeah, why is that?
I think it was because we were thinking about how to vary the popular pick from the deep cut pick, and Still Walking is another family movie, and
Yeah.
Afterlife certainly is like a deep cut pick in that it's unusual for Kore-eda to go
It is.
out of the realm of like hard reality.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we, at that point, had not kind of given ourselves the leeway to talk about more than 2 movies from a single director.
Right.
And now that we've expanded the scope, now it's easier to be able to talk about more movies at once.
Yeah.
And like have that kind of, latitude to talk
Right.
about some similar stuff, but also some like different stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Like if you listen to our Kiyoshi Kurosawa series,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a pretty interesting mix. And that's like a large series. Yeah. That
It is.
is able to cover a bunch of different kinds of movies from Kurosawa.
I really enjoyed that series was a kind of group discovery for all of us too.
Yeah.
It's been nice to expand what
Mhm.
we do in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Like not just go to directors who we know and love. Not just go to directors who we know and love, but to discover new ones together.
Yeah. But backing through directors that we've covered before is really great. I hope
Yeah.
we continue
I think we can
to
go
do this.
like Wiseman has a lot of movies you could go back into. Too many
Oh.
movies, for example.
I would be
That's something interesting.
I'd be more than
Reichardt, I
happy.
would love
I
to
would
go
do that.
back to. Romero even.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
We got our work cut out, but let's
Yeah.
talk about Still Walking.
Sure.
What do you guys want to start? I feel like we should start with, I think in a way, story and characters, which I think are quite enmeshed in this.
Yes.
Like the what is the story here? Like this is a very simple, quotidian kind of slice of life
Mm-hmm.
story. It's happens more or less within a 48-hour period, even 24
Yes.
hours.
Yeah.
A bit
Yeah.
less, a little more than 24 hours, where they come together, have a bunch of meals together, and then the next Ryota and his wife, they stay over the night and then they leave in the morning.
Yes.
That's the film, right? And nothing much.
A little bit of a coda at the end as well.
And then a coda, but generally speaking, the film happens within this compressed 24 hours, that slice of life narrative structure. So what's the story? What is Kore-eda actually trying to do here? Right? I mean, I think I've read interviews where he says that he just wanted to present life as is, and that this story was just presenting life as is for this family with a very specific kind of situation. Right.
Yes.
And I think for me, seeing how all the different generations of the family come into that
Mm-hmm.
anniversary, that death anniversary, is really interesting to see their perspective about their family and also their perspective about their family members. Yeah.
And what they want from each other
Yeah.
as well, even if they profess to not want anything from each other.
Yes.
I think I remember writing about this in one of my Letterboxd reviews, where I think a lot of times people compare Kore-eda with Ozu,
Mhm.
and Still Walking is one of his most Ozu-like
Yes.
films.
I was thinking about
Right,
that
more
as
than
well.
any of his films, because yes, it has the most domesticated setting compared to any domestic setting compared to any of his other films,
Mhm.
and
And it also has like the most, I guess, not the most, the actual least happening in the
Yeah,
film,
that's
like
true.
in terms of plot.
yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Ozu is quite very light on
Yeah.
plot.
Yeah. And if anything, this is even less plot than the Ozu film. Like
Mhm.
more stuff happens, like more like marriages happen, deaths happen.
There are decisions to be
Yeah.
made.
And so here, what's interesting to me is that Ozu films tend to be about sacrifice for your family.
Mhm.
What you do because you love your family, so then you don't do a thing or you do a thing for your family. But for Kore-eda, it feels like the way he thinks about family is what you tolerate from the
Mm.
family you have
Yeah.
and what you have to do to tolerate and why you tolerate. And I find it quite interesting because in a way, the kids don't want to go to this anniversary,
No.
right? The grandparents want them to be there, but the kids, like the middle, what do you call it, generation, is not at all
Right.
interested in seeing their parents, right? And it's a film so much about the parent-child relationship and the kind of sadness about how you drift away from your parents. And it's quite sad to watch how they don't want anything to do with their parents, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a very fascinating difference from Ozu, because Ozu is very much has a strong belief that most people feel that sense of duty to their family, whereas this
Mm.
family doesn't. They feel the
Well,
sense of
they-
obligation.
Yes, but
Yeah.
then they act on duty.
Yeah.
But yes.
But in a less, maybe, what's the word? Unconditional way, maybe?
Right.
Yeah.
I think he's really telling it as it is. With a lot of like Asian or East Asian
Yeah.
families, I think that is very much the case with obligation and feeling like you need to do this to appease older generations. And maybe he is doing this to try to get people to think like why they act this way, and maybe try to like bring families together in a more genuine kind of way that is not based on just obligation.
You know, this sort of sent me along a thought path of the question: is this movie pessimistic about the nuclear family? I wonder, and I think maybe no, but to your point, Wilson, it's pointing out how fragile these familial expectations are. If all it takes is a different choice in career path or a non-traditional marriage or blah blah blah, or even a big loss in the family, because really every family goes through a big loss of some sort at some point.
Right.
It's inevitable.
Yes.
But this family seems unable to come back from that loss
No. Yeah.
in terms of how they treat each other day to day in small moments.
Yeah. Like I think throughout this film you get a sense that the son who passed, the oldest son, was the golden child.
Yeah.
Or the most loved.
The heir, as the grandpa
The
calls
heir.
him.
Yes. Especially by the oldest generation.
Yep.
But Ryota, who is the second son, you get a sense that he resents that.
Yeah.
He thinks and that's why he doesn't really want to keep on coming back and not celebrate over just commemorating the death.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like for him, he's always living in the shadow of his brother who's
not
already
even there.
dead.
Sorry.
Like-
yeah, not to be
so
like
in a way,
"This guy's
he
dead."
cannot win because he's losing against the potential of greatness that his brother had that is unconfirmed and will remain unconfirmed.
And he says
And
that
it's impossible to live with.
He
It's
says
to
a
live
big
up to.
moment when he says it.
Yeah, who knows how he would have turned out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big moment where all the action pauses.
Yep.
If I hit my mic, all the blocking pauses there.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think for me, I talked about this just now, which is like the characters I really love are Hikari and I forgot what's the name, Atsushi, the
Yeah.
son
Atsushi.
from a previous marriage. I really love watching them in this. And Hikari's like you were saying it just now during the screen, and she's the MVP of this in terms of as a character. She's the MVP because she is the one
is.
that's suffering the most.
She carries the most
Yeah,
weight.
she's carrying a lot of weight in the terms of like having to deal with this family that
Mhm.
is new to her and the pressure that they're putting on her and also the judgment that they put on her because she is a widow,
yeah.
right?
And by extension, her son. Like I feel like
Yes.
she also feels for her son.
yeah, like there's a scene where the grandfather or father, he straight up says in her presence that it's good that Junpei died before they had kids because it would be so difficult for a widow to marry again. a widow with kids to marry again, and it's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, she is a widow
widow
with
who-
kids sitting at a table with
Literally.
you, and he doesn't realize that because he's reading a paper
Yeah.
as he's talking about it.
Or maybe
Yeah.
he said it as a very
Or also-
direct kind of
Yeah,
jab at
which
her. Which
huge dick move.
yeah, this man's
Means
a
that
dick.
the guy's a dick.
I hated him. I hated him, and I knew he was gonna die, but I forgot he didn't. He really didn't die on camera. So I was like,
What?
"Come on, die. Sorry, that's bad. That's bad.
Like looking for all the ways, like, oh, there's a big set of stairs.
yeah, he could fall right now.
Yeah.
He's crossing the street. That moment is so incredible in terms of thinking about how Kore-eda tells the story of these terrible family dynamics.
Mm.
That is the first big meal scene. There are 3 big meal scenes in the movie, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So this is on the first day when they're having lunch together and they're chatting. Everything's cool, and then the grandfather says this remark, which is very pointed at Yukari, and it's been this long static take, maybe the longest shot in the movie duration wise.
Mhm.
And then Grandpa says this, boom, cut across the 180-degree line, and then he's on the other side of the table. He's crossed the doorway into the house, and he's looking outside, and it just punctuates the gravity of this remark in such a like
Yeah,
shocking kind of way.
Yeah.
yeah.
As
And with
shocking as
that-
an edit can be.
And with that cut, right, the next shot in the sequence is she's center frame.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's like, you have to deal with how she reacts to it and then swiftly deflects in a
Yes.
very like gentle kind of way. She
Yes.
said something like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, I guess I'm lucky that I found Ryota."
Yeah.
Yeah. And like there's that, and then also that she has to help her husband lie about the fact that he's in between jobs.
Uh-huh.
Which I actually forgot about and kind of maybe didn't notice this previous times I watched, but there was a scene where they keep asking her about how his job's going and she keeps lying.
Yeah.
And then we just kept shouting out lie.
Having like the
Yeah.
anime beat of sweat on the forehead.
Yeah, and it was very interesting to watch how she was navigating that like awkwardly and performed very well. Like that kind of awkward dance that you have with your extended family you don't really know very well. Like
Yeah.
trying to not say the wrong thing, but also try not to lie. Like she's always like, I think it's this, but I already know it's not because
Mhm.
none of this is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think she plays that dance really well, playing
Yeah.
that character of Hikaru.
Strange smile.
Yeah, so I really love this woman's performance. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name right now. You were talking
Yeah.
about the cinematography, and that was a thing that you said, or Wilson said during this, which is that we wish Kore-eda
yeah.
would go back to more deliberate, what do you call it?
Deliberate framing, more
Mhm.
deliberate cinematography.
Yeah, in general.
In general. We talked about this when we were discussing what movie?
Oh,
Maybe Shoplifters, but I'm not.
no.
Oh, no.
Or Upkeep.
a monster.
Monster.
Monster,
Yeah, which I
yes.
love. Which I think we all really love.
Yeah.
But I think that was also very glaring to us in that film that just doesn't look how it looks now.
Yeah.
Or like then. Yeah. But I really like, I think because with this like limited scope in terms of time and in terms of location, he's able to be very intentional about his shot choices in particular locations, and I think that's a very like Ozu-esque thing to do, right?
Mm.
Like if you have a house and you have a room, why not just reuse similar setups of like showing a space to show how relationships change based on how you place actors within that frame.
Yep.
And Kore-eda does this a lot in the house, but also outside of the house. In like, I'm thinking about this one particular shot of a stairs
Mhm.
that a lot of characters walk up or walk
Yeah.
down during the course of the
Mm,
film.
Yeah.
And I think, it's just so like visually so beautiful to look at, and I think you really want to just like be in that moment with them, however tense
Yeah.
the family interactions are.
In terms of depiction of space as well, I was thinking about off-screen space on this
Yep.
viewing.
Mm-hmm.
In the probably, I guess, the climax of the movie in which the yellow butterfly gets into the
Uh-huh.
house and Kirin
Right.
Kiki's grandmother is pursuing it, saying it might be Junpei.
Yes.
there's so there are a bunch of like separate shots of her hands pursuing the butterfly family members looking on, and then there's one shot of just sort of like almost like the wall kind of, and Kirin Kiki leaves the frame. Ryota looks off to screen left. I think the grandpa passes through the frame to the left, and you know where the butterfly has landed. You know that it is on Junpei's shrine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because she says she remarks. She says something like, "Oh,
It is him."
It is
yeah.
him. Yeah.
But you know it's there because of the way that Kore-eda has depicted that room in so many different ways, from different angles,
Right.
across different meals, different times of day, different characters. But the anchor of that room, the center of gravity, is always that shrine.
Yeah.
I think that shrine is used so well in the way that he is cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many moments where it's like a very long scene on
Mhm.
one shot.
Mhm.
And the moment we cut is when we cut to see Junpei in the background,
yeah.
just as a photo, almost
But-
hovering
yeah, and
over
he,
the proceedings.
and most of the time when that happens, he's like the photo of Junpei is not in focus,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's always framed in a
It's
way
like
where
there.
you see it
Oh, yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Its presence
Haunting
is
Ryota.
I think go back to the question of like why this feels so-called like better cinematography than what he's doing now,
there. Right.
is that because maybe the length of the shots are now longer
Mm-hmm.
and the times he's cutting is less, they feel much more deliberate. Now the blocking is more deliberate when it
Yes.
comes to the way that people are moving in the space and the way that he chooses to put people in the space
Yes.
so that he's revealing and showing the right things, whether it's like maybe doors opening or people in the background, people in the foreground, people just off screen. Like you feel the space much more strongly.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then because you're cutting less, every cut now means much more. And there's a much more deliberate nature to those cuts.
Yeah.
And like the number of times he uses handheld on this is very small. You can count on your hands.
Total of like
But-
5 shots.
Yeah,
Something.
and I think
most of them happening during that butterfly
Yeah.
sequence.
And I think you know what is happening and why he's using the handheld. I think the only other time is maybe when they're showing the kids playing.
Oh,
And there's like a kind of lightness to those
Yes.
scenes. Yeah.
he's like walked away from the tools of blocking. Maybe,
I wouldn't say
that's
walk
a little
away,
harsh.
but I think maybe just leaning more into like cutting and like in a more, I guess we call it more of a TV style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I'm thinking about how it like also relates to how his stories have become more expansive in terms of scope
Right.
and in terms of like location and characters and time periods. Like I think
Hmm.
in order to cover more ground, I think maybe he tends to just not be as strict about how he shoots things because maybe more is left on the cutting room floor. So that gives him more room to breathe in terms of maybe the edit or something.
I think maybe
like
there's like a more experimentation on set or like trying to find the shots.
right.
Like I think Still Walking has a feeling like, oh, this is planned very
Yeah, I feel like
deliberately.
that's also the same with Afterlife.
right.
Like
yes.
they are very planned, and maybe even Our Little
Yeah.
Sister a little bit. But there he is, a very like storyboarded kind of nature.
feeling. Yeah, that feels that way. Yeah.
It does.
Agreed.
Maybe we can talk about the lingua franca of this family. The only like maybe way that they
Oh.
are all on the same page, and maybe we're also on the same page is the food.
Right.
They come together to share a lot of these meals, even though they're in contention with each other at a lot of times. But this like very delicious, and I know it's delicious. Like I'm not even eating it, but I know it's delicious. Food that they're sharing is something that brings everyone together, and I think it's the glue that holds this movie and this family together at this moment. And I think the focus that Kore-eda has on the making of the food and the eating of the food visually, but also like in an audio sense,
Right.
is so strong. And I want to hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I was thinking about from the opening moments, we see the grandpa in his desired place out in the community, walking around, being respected, being seen. Meanwhile, at home, we're getting close-up shots of Kirin Kiki's hands preparing food. Direct contrast, and we get very close sound whenever we see food being prepared, almost like these Bressonian close-ups of
Oh,
hands
yeah.
doing work,
Yes.
and then close sound of that work being done. Work that the grandfather refuses to acknowledge as work, homemaking work. I also am thinking about how often when there's a tense moment of conversation or someone says something that makes everyone go like, they pivot to, oh, let's eat watermelon. Oh, let's eat this.
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
let's go get the tempura.
Yes.
I think you have most of the most critical conversations happening over food,
Yes.
Mhm.
right? Like it's
Mhm.
almost like if there wasn't meals, this family would not come together.
Right.
Right. A lot of
Yeah.
times when they're not eating is when they're going away, like breaking off into smaller groups,
Right.
doing smaller conversations. Those are like more secretive. But if not for the food, they wouldn't be around the same table. If not for the food, the grandfather wouldn't be speaking to many of these characters.
Yeah.
Like he never has a scene with you. I don't know the character's name.
yes.
His
You.
husband, Yu's husband.
Yes.
He never speaks to him like one-on-one ever, I think.
His son-in-law.
Yeah, his son-in-law. He never speaks to him in person. One-on-one. He's only just there. He's almost like a side character. He's like another child. You know
Yes.
what I mean? He's always like playing around with his kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this kind of like the orbit is happening around food, happening around meal times. And then every
Yeah.
time they go away from the meal table, when it's off, that's when like secrets get revealed or like stuff happens and people don't acknowledge it. Or like it's almost like food brings things to the surface.
Mm.
Right? The
Mm.
most because you're forced to that, and that's where they like gossip and like drop truth bombs by accident, because they're now talking over food. Like even
Yeah.
in the early scenes, like that's when you see when you and her mother are like talking, and that's when like you hear the most like all the pressure that she's putting on her daughter to be like be pretty, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
and like talking about like say for example them maybe moving in. Yeah, that's all like surrounded by food.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess for the women especially, that's how they are connecting,
Yes.
especially when it comes to food prep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the men are just consuming.
Yeah.
I'm now thinking more also about if food is the space where conversations kind of go awry or people are quietly trying to get what they want. Maybe the opposite is walking. Like if it is cross-cut walking and food prep in the opening, I'm thinking about the conversation between the grandma and Ryota when they visit Junpei's grave and how they're walking out of the cemetery together and walking down that long path.
Yeah. It's a
And
great scene.
It is. And I think it's not a great conversation. Like they're still kind of putting burdens on each other that
Mhm.
maybe aren't fair, but they're being a little bit more honest about it.
Yes, they are.
And then also the coda of the movie when they walk down, Ryota and his new family walk down.
Sort of a repeat of shot like
Yeah.
placements from that
Yeah.
scene as well.
Like you have taken in the food and now you kind of get to walk it off.
Mm. Yeah. Still eating?
Still
Ooh,
eating.
Yeah,
Still digesting.
Still pooping.
I knew you were thinking that. Because
What
I
did
was
we
thinking
say?
it
What did
too.
you say? Oh, because he hadn't pooped, so you said it during we were watching. He's still
Oh.
holding, still holding his poop.
That's why Rhoda's such a little bitch.
He's constipated. I mean, they're all little bitches.
Yeah, I think
in
so.
a way.
Doesn't mean every character has an ulterior motive in this.
They do.
Every single one, and I think that is just human.
It's good. It's no
Like,
one's
they-
morally
yeah.
good.
No one
or
is that
evil.
unconditional with their love that they are not thinking about what they're getting for themselves. And I think that's why, even though yes, they're all a little like prickly
Yeah.
as characters, but because
Sorry, yeah, not little bitches. They're little prickly. Sorry.
but I think they feel so human and it's so easy to sympathize with every single character, right? And I guess also we talk about how it's a film that you can come at from different points in your life, right?
Yeah.
And then you might have different takeaways, right? Like
yeah, like
for
Yi.
like a young, like Yi, like if you're a younger person, like maybe understanding more of like what the kids are going through, but then as you get older, understanding more of what the so-called middle generation is thinking about when now they have to deal with the generation above and the generation below.
Mhm.
And then I guess I'm not there yet. Like when you're older, thinking about how you treat your kids and their grandkids.
And
Sorry,
the
their
things that you
kids.
can't undo from how
Yeah.
you raised your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I think it's also kind of a non-judgmental movie about these relationships because it's kind
Yeah.
of like it is what it is.
Yeah. He's not
And-
trying to fix them.
Yeah, like maybe
Kore-eda's not
just
trying to fix
notice it that this is what's happening.
them. Yeah.
And that's kind of okay and maybe also kind of beautiful in its own right.
Yeah.
And that we have And I think the fact that so many people understand that from this movie shows that it's such a common experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times, like these kinds of experiences happen because people just don't say what they feel, or like they're just not blunt enough
Yeah.
with their family, especially Asian families who just don't
Yeah.
talk.
They hold things in.
Hold
a
things
lot.
in.
Yeah.
Still holding. Holding their shit in. Yeah. You gotta air your shit.
Yeah, they got to do
Yeah.
that.
And I think it's kind of a fascinating movie for that. And so I think it's very clear-eyed about those themes and those kinds of stories and those kinds of characters. Because yes, it's a very specific situation. Like this whole Junpei thing is so hypercharged dramatically,
It is.
emotionally, but you don't need something so heavy for your family to look like this, right? But I think it's a great piece of world building because it helps make this such a specific story.
Yes.
But even then, a lot of the so-called margins of this, or like the periphery, or like the kinds of characters, they're all very understandable and relatable and people that you have seen, you know?
Yeah.
So in that sense, whether Asian or not, like I feel like people understand these kinds of family dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's such a strong movie to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most relatable out of all
Yeah,
Kore-eda's
Definitely.
films. Yeah. Like, because I think it's the most like simple to
Yeah.
to see yourself in. Yeah.
And I think we talk a lot about melodrama because we took that melodrama class together.
Yes.
And a lot of Kore-eda's films are very melodramatic, like Shoplifters.
Oh,
very
super melodramatic.
But this one definitely not at all melodramatic,
No.
right?
Or is it?
Okay.
I think it's not in terms of maybe sensationalism or like the so-called heightened emotions of melodrama.
Yeah. And I think it also lacks strong pathos for me.
Yes.
I don't think I
I
relate
agree with that.
very strongly to. I don't know. I don't think he makes us feel very strongly like akin to. Like,
I think with
a
melodramas,
similar
you're supposed to have that
character.
outpouring of emotion, the catharsis when like
Yes.
something happens.
There needs to be a revelation, right?
But
Or
here,
something.
there's like revelations, but they're not revelations that characters are having.
Mhm.
Revelations that you're having about characters,
Right.
right? So you don't have that kind of, you're not seeing them have emotions on screen that you are having.
Mm-hmm.
You are just like, oh, I understand. I see this family now. I get what they're like. I see myself there. And so the maybe pathos is more in the recognition rather than the revelation.
Like a
Eli,
study
do you
of
want
them.
to make an argument for how this is melodramatic?
Not necessarily. The thing I was thinking is that the Junpei backstory is so perfectly tragic and calibrated to be destructive for this family. But that's more like a melodrama device than it being strictly entirely melodrama.
Right.
Also, just everything being melodrama is such
A
a
little
fun
bit.
take.
Everything is melodrama.
Okay.
Dude, our like jokes or like musical bits work so much better when we're in person.
Because you're in sync. It's easier when I'm not wearing headphones. It's nice to record an episode where I can see your ears.
Yeah. My ears. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot about the scene with Yoshio, which is the kid that Junpei saves.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite scenes because it's the most agonizing one.
It is.
In the whole
Grandma
film.
invites him back to this commemorative reunion every year.
So she can make him suffer. And she admits that to Ryota when he's like, stop asking him back. And she's like, I do this because I want him to suffer.
Yeah.
Because I cannot replace the loss of my son. And I think I love that. I did my video essay on that scene with Ryota and how Kore-eda actually avoids frontality.
Yeah, dorsal framing.
Link here or in the description. Yeah, and I think a lot about that because that's such a strong nugget of characterization for the mother.
Yeah.
Like that kind of vengefulness or pettiness. Oh, maybe not pettiness, but really vengefulness.
Right.
Like she's gonna make this boy suffer because she is still suffering, maybe from the loss of a son. And like I find that to be so compelling because we know like, oh, this is bad, this is mean, but also I know why you're doing this.
Yes.
It's another melodrama thing. It's like object transference. She's making of him an object that is the cause of the loss of her son without recognizing the very human choice that Junpei made to save the life of a child.
Yeah.
No one seems to be talking about that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot about like the sacrifice that Junpei makes and how it's not worth it for Yoshio, but also like the fact that now the only son they have is like not as impressive, or is not able to be as impressive. So like,
Yeah.
that, I don't know, that just sucks. That just sucks.
Yeah.
But also real.
It's very
Yeah.
sad. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this time I was struck by a bunch of details which I did not notice before. I think the last time I watched it, I was thinking a lot about Hikari. This time I was thinking a lot about Atsushi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he has a very strong subplot because
Great
there's this-
performance as well.
yeah, a great
Mhm.
child performance. And his thing is that he is kind of still grieving his father,
He is.
but in a very quiet way. And his mother is talking to him about it in a very quiet way. Neither of them is grieving in a large,
like outward.
showy way.
Yeah.
But you can tell that Atsushi's thinking about, okay, what does this mean for my family? Like, my biological father is gone, and now I gotta think about Ryo-chan, who he calls his stepfather,
Yeah.
like as my father, and then this is the family I'm going into,
Yeah.
right? When I'm just thinking, what about the biological father's family?
Yeah.
Like, where's that? Like, what's happening there?
True,
And
true.
then he's cut off from that, and now he has to plug himself into this one
Right.
that
But I
he has
think
no blood relation to.
But I think their process, like his process of viewing Ryota's family grieving Junpei, allows him to also feel comfortable grieving his own
Yes.
father, because he has that really beautiful conversation with his mom where she says, "Oh, like your dad's still here.
Mm. Yeah.
He's like still in you. He's half there with you. I'm half there with you, but he's also there
Yeah.
with you."
Yeah.
And then which leads him to later
Yeah.
on in the night go out into the garden and speak,
talk. Yeah, I
speak
want
to
to
his
talk
dad.
about that. So here's a take I have right now, which is that scene happens shortly, a few scenes after they release the yellow butterfly that Kirin Kiki thinks is her son
Right.
visiting, and then
Yes.
he's going out into the garden that they released the butterfly to, and I feel like he's speaking to the butterfly. So for the rest of the family, they're thinking, oh, the butterfly is Junpei, but for little Atsushi, he's thinking the butterfly is my father, right?
Wow.
And I'm like, because she talks about the butterfly thing when they're walking down from the cemetery and they see
Right.
the yellow butterfly and they're talking about the so-called reincarnation. So there's this thing that is like, let's all ignore what this boy is grieving and also what Hikari is grieving,
Mhm.
which is the loss of their husband/father.
Right.
Let's only think about Junpei, who is long gone
Right.
for like 12 years, but their husband/father has only died 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, and no one is acknowledging that at all. And I'm just like, my God.
And if they
Mhm.
are, it's in cruel ways.
Yeah,
It is.
So that really got me this time. And I was thinking about even the opening scene or early scene on the train with Ryota, Hikari, and Atsushi when they're like traveling towards the thing. And I saw this detail which I didn't notice before, which is like when Atsushi or Ryota says that my father thinks I'm still into baseball.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. And that felt very random. Then Atsushi looks at his stepfather and is like, you like baseball? In a very expectant way, because I feel, and that was like a moment that I never caught before, which made me feel like, oh, this kid likes baseball. And he's trying to find a moment of connection with his stepfather, who does not catch it at all.
Right.
Who just is like, no, I'm not interested in it. And then
Right.
he kind of looks away in a very slightly disappointed fashion.
Hmm.
And I think you can really see Atsushi trying to like connect with Ryota, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, is this a father to me?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, which is like, damn.
And I think Ryota is somehow pushing him away. Maybe it's the
Yes.
way that he was treated by his family that
Yes.
leads him to push his own like
Definitely.
stepson away. Definitely. I think it's quite clear, right? That's
Yeah.
what this movie is. But maybe they come together by the coda. Who knows?
I've been thinking this conversation how different this movie would be without the coda
Yeah.
and how much
Mhm.
bleaker it would be.
yeah.
There's another and in that coda we get to see
Mhm.
this newer family unit. Yukari and Ryota have had a daughter. Atsushi is there, he's older. They're all visiting the grave together, and then they walk down the hill and get into a car together to
Mhm.
drive off. And their affect is different. Like they're carrying themselves differently. They're costumed differently.
Yes.
They seem like a tighter unit than
Yeah, they seem
the
like a
previous
family,
family.
yeah.
Without the shadow of these things hovering over Ryota, he seems to be more present of a father.
Right.
And that also shows itself in the conversation in their bedroom in the grandparents' house when just after Yukari says to Atsushi, you are half of your father and half of me.
Mhm.
Atsushi asks, what about Ryota? And Yukari says, he'll become a part of you too with time.
Yeah.
And then asks, do you
I don't
want
know
to
what
let
the
him
Japanese, the Japanese phrase of it was very cute. It's like sushi or something. No, I'm not gonna do it on back.
I don't remember what it was in
Yeah,
Japanese.
just slowly but surely. Yes, sorry.
Oh,
keep on
Jiwa
going.
Jiwa.
Yeah, Jiwa Jiwa.
Jiwa
I think it's either Jiwa Jiwa or Jira Jira. I can't remember.
Don't come for us.
Ryota overhears part of this conversation and then comes in and sort of playfully asks, slowly but surely, what? And then they have like a cute little conversation. And the mom says Atsushi says, how will he become a part of me? And the mom says, through your mouth. And then he goes, through your belly button. And then Ryota, like in a really uniquely playful moment. We've not seen him put on this kind of play with, especially with Atsushi before.
Yeah.
Like pokes his belly button and everyone laughs. And it's just a glimpse of the way this family will wind up being with each other by the coda.
Yeah. It's interesting the baseball thing that you were talking about, because like there's that conversation that the grandpa has with Atsushi in his doctor's office when Atsushi comes in and like starts poking around and he's like, don't take the drugs. But then he's like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? A baseball player?
I think he's a soccer player, right?
Never
Yeah,
mind.
I don't know why he says soccer player though. Like
Not
why
soccer player.
soccer?
I thought it was baseball.
I
Well,
don't
we
remember.
learn later on that the grandpa secretly is like a soccer fan.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's him once again sort of quietly trying to shape the outcome of his grandkids.
Yeah, it is a very interesting thing
futures.
because he doesn't seem to outwardly claim this boy, but in
Right.
that conversation he's still trying to
Yeah.
claim him in some way.
I don't know
Control
whether
him.
the soccer thing was just him being like, boys like soccer, right? So then all boys want to
Oh,
be
yeah.
soccer players. Like now all kids want to be YouTubers, like that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
What do you want to be? A TikTok influencer?
Yeah, we're now
Yes.
on to TikTok influencers, but yeah.
I want to become a film podcaster.
Oh my god. Kill me. Don't do that. Don't be a film podcast. Well, okay. Let's move angles to like different characters. And actually we already talked about the grandma,
Yes.
like in her critical scenes.
Yes.
Talk about the grandfather as well.
We haven't talked about the blue light to
Oh.
Yokohama.
That's an insane
What
scene.
a scene.
Yeah, and then also the reveal later as to what that means
Yes.
is absolutely ridiculous. And that's maybe the most melodramatic moment of the film.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That
it just comes
reveal.
and goes.
Yeah,
Yes,
just like,
it
and then
does.
there's no what's
And
the
then he
word?
dies.
But there's no resolution to that revelation.
He dies. That's the resolution.
He dies knowing she knew.
So yeah, there's a moment in the, I guess, third meal that we see them share together where they talk about the grandpa doing karaoke, which he seems kind of embarrassed about.
Yeah.
That he's known for singing
He's
Japanese
like,
ballads.
that's not a ballad. It's manlier.
So the grandma goes and has Ryota put on a record of this one particular song, Blue Light Yokohama, which then they all listen to and talk about. And the grandpa's kind of poking fun at the grandma, like, oh, she's so classless. Like, how do you even know this song? Like, you got duped into buying this record. And then later on, there's just this great shot of the grandpa in the bath, a kind of translucent screen behind him. Kirin Kiki is doing some, setting out his clothes for him after his bath in the background, but you see sort of her silhouette. And he asked her, like, where'd you get that record? Like, when did you get that?
Oh.
And she says, oh, I heard it when you were over that woman's house and you were singing it in her room. I didn't want to disturb you then, but I bought the record and I listened to it and I played it so that you would remember it. And the grandpa just goes like,
Yeah, it was a really like, oh my god moment.
yeah.
I think of all the actors, he's the most like kind of like a caricature almost. Like he's almost like, I'm an old man. Like I'm playing an old man.
Yeah.
And this is happening. There's a little bit more mugging with him. Yeah. Which I think maybe is like my one reservation about the film. Like I feel like he's the least naturalistic actor
Yeah.
of all of the actors. And he kind of sticks out to me like a sore thumb.
Because I did say there was no morally good or morally evil character, but I think nothing in this film that he does is good.
That's true.
I think every action or everything he says is just, no, he's just seeking chaos.
When he
He's just,
doesn't want to take the photo, it just walks away. Like, whoa, just take the
come
freaking
on,
photo, dude. Just take the photo.
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
I think it's because he played a little bit like a caricature that makes it more difficult to sympathize with him on the same level as any other character.
Hmm.
Like I can sympathize with even like Yu's husband, right? He's just a
Yeah.
goof, and I
Yeah,
get
he
it. And we noticed this time for me, like that their family is also struggling financially, even if they're not out of a job,
Right.
Yeah.
right? But you can kind of see in the way that they talk about moving to the house.
Yeah, they're trying to move in.
And the way that he's pushing the RV to Ryota, who has no money right now coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can get that feeling from that. Also, tangent. We noticed so many similarities with Tokyo Sonata in this.
Oh
Yeah.
Made in the same
in
year.
the
Listen
same
to our
year.
episode on Tokyo
Listen,
Sonata.
yeah, listen to our episode. Pianos, financial crises,
Yeah.
Fake phone calls.
fake
Yeah.
phone calls, pretending to have a job. Yep.
Yeah, but even like within the similarities, there's such you can
So
see
different.
how different these two filmmakers are. Like Kurosawa's just a weird guy, man. He's
Yeah.
like a
His sense of humor is
fucking
whack,
weird.
which is why it's funny.
So good.
Yeah.
God, I love that man.
Like he sympathizes, but he's willing to make fun of them and like kind of
Yes.
mock the characters a little bit.
Yeah,
But
have a
Kore-eda's
little
very
more fun.
kind.
Yes, gentle.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of what else I want to talk about.
No thoughts, just
Parts
vibes.
that we will cut out from our episodes usually when we're just thinking.
We're thinking.
Yeah, let's
I'm
think.
thinking about how enjoyable this experience
Oh,
that we're
recording this.
doing, right
Yeah.
now is, and like how happy I would be if we all lived in the
Yeah.
same
Oh.
city.
Yeah.
That would
Agreed.
make things easier, I guess.
No, yeah, it
It'd
would
be
make
nice.
things easier.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that
Just like go hang out.
I'm
Yeah.
feeling so self-conscious about this camera actually. On a very
What
mild
camera?
level. It's just like right there.
Camera.
And I keep looking at it because I want to make sure it's recording.
yes.
I keep looking at it.
Am I peeking?
Yeah.
Camera. Yeah, I'm peeking.
The red dot is blinking. We are still rolling.
Still rolling.
Still rolling. Still rolling.
Okay, wait, let me run through. We've talked about characters, a little bit about story. Oh, you know what? Something I want to talk about, which we haven't really covered. So just now, I started with talking about what's the story, and I think a lot of what I loved about this movie, and the thing I talk about, I think when I wrote about it, is that it's this film that's so able to stealthily, and I think that's the thing that I love about Kore-eda, where he stealthily feeds you story.
Yeah.
In very,
Hmm.
very low-key ways. Like when you open this movie, the first 30 minutes, you have no idea what is happening. Like the families are coming together,
Yeah.
but you don't know why. And it takes a long time before he even explains. Like you get that someone died, you get that it's the son, but you don't
Mhm.
know how they died. So like there's this drip feed of information that helps you get up to speed and then to understand, oh, this is what's happening.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so he's, I guess, allowing you to be on the back foot, which is actually something that Kurosawa does.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Being able to
True.
leave you in the dark and then just like be confident that you're going to catch up. So I think that's why it feels like such a confident movie because it's able to trust the audience to catch up,
Hmm.
to get there. And I think that's also why it's such a rewarding experience.
Yeah, 'cause when you
Rewatching.
do,
Yes.
Oh yes. But
Yeah.
also
It changes.
rewarding when you watch
When
it for
you
the
watch
first
it for the
time
first
because
time.
when you do catch up, it feels good. I feel like that's
Yeah.
one of the best parts about Monster is that
Mhm.
when you
Put it together,
put
right?
it together, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what this movie is about.
Yeah. Like
That's
you,
what this relationship is about.
you can feel it in movies when they're like, okay, we're doing exposition right now.
Yeah.
Right. But this one is like, yes, there is exposition, but it's not exposition that you can be like, oh yeah, this is just a piece of exposition. So that
No.
me as an audience can understand it. Right.
No.
The so-called slice of life nature, or like the so-called I'm just capturing life as it is, feels so strong that you forget
Yes.
that he's actually structuring the film very intelligently
Yes.
to make sure that you're getting the information at the right time.
Yeah. The
so you
exposition is the
understand what's
secret
happening.
key.
Yeah. And so my mind is going towards like Thomas Flight because he has this great video about
Oh, yeah,
subtle
yeah.
exposition
Mhm.
or great
Mm.
exposition. And I think this is definitely one of those cases.
Hmm.
And I think at a level that's even harder to notice. Right. Like this film is just exposition when you think
Mm.
about it.
Hmm.
It's a film that is just exposition. Like there's no action. It's a film about discovering what's happening, discovering motivations, discovering histories,
pain
Hmm.
points.
right? And because there's no action in the sense that no one's doing anything, no one has like stuff they need to do or like achieve. No one has necessarily goals,
Mhm.
right? So in that sense, it is a film that doesn't have plot propulsion. And so it all hinges on learning about the family,
Mhm.
as if they're just like, it's like being the guy that sells sushi to them and just sitting around and just lingering and watching them and be like, oh, you guys are fucked. And be like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's why I really like this movie, because that confidence and the shortness through the filmmaking to this kind of storytelling is so
Mm.
rare and so beautiful to watch. Like, it's not a movie that bores me at any moment,
No.
you know?
Yeah.
Always something to dial into.
Yeah.
There
And I
is.
think, especially if you like people watching, which I do,
Yes.
right? This one gives you really great access to people watch. Like, you're
Yeah.
very close to the action and you can be like, and they can't hear what you're saying. So they
Mm.
can't hear your thoughts or your commentary. So you can like bitch about them as you're watching.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the performances are so natural that you just
Yeah.
like fall into believing that this is a functioning family.
Yeah. Like a real functioning or dysfunctioning family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Kore-eda's will ever do this ever again or has ever done this before this. Like, I think this is like quite singular in
Yeah, I think so.
his filmography.
Mm.
Hmm.
I think generally he tends towards films that are, I guess, more melodramatic,
Yeah.
more intense dramatically. I think about like Nobody Knows, which I know you don't like, which is
Oh, it's
extremely
tough,
intense.
man.
Yeah, I don't
It's
particularly
tough.
I also
either.
don't particularly like it.
It's tough.
Or Shoplifters also, which is very good. I mean,
Yeah.
love Shoplifters.
I'm glad he
Yeah.
that he's turned away from I'm glad that he's becoming more gentle towards his characters
Mhm.
now. Like, I would say Monster is kind of intense, but I would say
Yeah.
that it is kinder to its characters.
There's space for the digressions. Like when in this viewing, when it came time for the kids to like have their scene to go off and
yeah.
play, I was like,
Yes.
oh, here's the obligatory Kore-eda kids go off and play scene. But
Yeah.
there's
Yes.
there's such a lovely touch to that digression
Yeah.
that he just gives them space to go and be
Play.
and
Yeah.
discover and explore.
Yeah, but Nobody Knows has a lot of that, and then
Yeah.
you have the horrible fallout, like the
Right.
absolutely disgraceful. Like, it's just I don't like.
Mhm.
I will not return to that movie.
Mm.
Like, that's how bad I felt after
Mm.
watching that.
After Monster?
No, after Nobody
Oh,
Knows.
after Nobody Knows,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's rough.
I think
He uses it to punish you, kind of.
he
Yeah.
does.
I think a lot of his other films, both before and after Still Walking,
Mm.
they're like precision weapons to make you feel something really strongly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Still Walking doesn't feel like a precision weapon,
Right.
right? It doesn't feel like, okay, I'm going to weaponize all my storytelling so that I'm going to punch you right in the face.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
But
Like,
sometimes I love that. Like, sometimes
No,
when it
sometimes I
doesn't,
love it.
when it doesn't go too far, I think
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
sweet
for
spot for
sure.
me from Kore-eda. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I'm feeling so much right now, and like you have just done that. Like, you are a magician and you've
Mhm.
whipped this specific movie to make me feel this way right now.
Thanks for making me feel so shitty.
Exactly. Thanks, dude.
But yeah, like I think Still Walking is just so unlike the rest of his films,
Yeah.
right? And I think that it feels so much lighter in its touch
Yes.
in terms of like trying to get you to have a kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
I'm thinking about. I have a question for you both that relates to kind of the major dramatic question that tends to drive Kore-eda movies. He likes the why of it.
Hmm.
In Monster, it's kind of a like what's going on, but why are things falling apart in this way? Like, what's the root cause of this?
Right.
In Maboroshi, it's why did the husband commit suicide if he did even?
Right. Yes.
Like, what happened? In Still Walking, it's like, why is this family unable to connect?
Hmm.
As a device to communicate that inability to connect, Kore-eda gives us access to all the characters in ways that they do not access each other. We
Hmm.
see what the grandmother feels about Yukari in ways that she gleans
Yeah.
indirectly,
Yeah.
but doesn't really get directly. Or the grandma doesn't learn about her daughter's real kind of ulterior motive to get the house
Hmm.
so directly.
Yeah.
Maybe they sense this from each other. So I'm thinking about what Kore-eda gives us access to as viewers that the characters do not get. The flip of this, which I only noticed this viewing, is that the most significant time jump is from the night that Ryota and Yukari and Atsushi are staying over to after the breakfast meal that they
Mhm.
share together,
Yeah.
because it cuts to them cleaning up the table.
Yeah.
Why keep us out in that moment? what does that give to these characters that we don't get access to? I'm
Keep
so
us out from
curious.
that last meal.
That last meal.
The breakfast.
When we've got access to every other meal and it's been a huge pivotal scene.
You know what? When I eat breakfast, sometimes I'm just so tired. My brain's not functioning.
Or rather, what maybe that why is it's impossible to answer. Like how is our viewing experience shaped by being held out of that meal? Like what are you sort
I
of
think,
going through in
okay.
that moment?
Like, you're right. We skip that meal, but we do see the meal being cleaned up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe less so in a storytelling in terms of information kind of way, but in terms of the way that it works for me from a tone perspective, it's like because we have been so locked into the family, showing me a meal that I don't get to see, but I see the cleaning up all feels like a pulling back. Like we just went right into the family, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And here's like, oh, now you're seeing much less. I'm like slowly pulling away
As we end.
as we're ending. It's like, oh, here's something you're not gonna see. And I'm just pulling out, like almost like it's kind of like a feeling of a
Wiseman.
crane
No,
shot
I'm just
moving
kidding.
out. What do you say?
Like, you know how Wiseman goes in and he
Oh,
goes
yeah.
out.
Yeah, so it's like a feeling of like moving out.
Yes.
Right? Like here's stuff I'm gonna start eliding and like you don't know. And then of course they leave on the bus and then we do a time jump into the
Yes.
coda, right?
Hmm.
So I think there's that feeling of maybe like a gentle easing off rather than like, okay, we're done. Yeah.
You know, to your point from earlier, Wilson, and actually, Ben, you said a version of this as well, that part of the design of the movie is to get you to think about your own family structure and how you interact with your family.
100%.
Maybe that elision and breathing space, you know, this is directly followed by a lot of walking down to the beach. Takes a lot of time. It's like time and space to reflect a little bit and process
Yeah.
before the runtime of the movie is done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of like warming up, climax of, or no, not even climax of what, like just the action of the, or the conversations.
And
or
also
the
when you have the most
interaction.
access.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then we cool down.
I mean, there's a
Very
cleaning
gentle.
up. There's like an actual
It's a
cleaning up.
cleaning
Films like
Yeah,
cleaning
yeah,
up,
yeah.
Yeah.
right?
it
So
I
is.
like
then
that.
it's like sweeping things. It's kind of a nice visual because it's like,
Mhm.
oh, the family's leaving, so let's clean up these things,
Yeah.
right? Because you kind of have that cleanup the first time, which is when Yu's family leaves,
Mm-hmm.
because they also do a cleanup. That's after Yoshio is left,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
they say, "Oh, my driver has woken up," which is her husband.
That's so
and then
funny.
they start leaving. So I guess it's kind of this ritual of like, because they clean up together, like, or rather the women clean up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that also like kind of ends the meal.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it works for me on that kind of motif level rather than as a story level.
Right.
And there's just a punctuation, a very light punctuation. Gives that feeling.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Great movie.
Yeah.
Best item of food, best outfit. Because you both were talking
Best
about the fashion
outfit.
at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
Atsushi's
Atsushi's
little
little
outfit.
outfit. I was like, oh my god, he's wearing like high like white socks with a black what are they, like dress shoes or like something
Yes.
like that? And I was like,
In
this kid
shorts,
is
white
turned
t-shirt,
Yeah.
overshirt.
tuned in. He's
He's
tuned
stripped
into
up.
the fashion game. I mean, yeah, he's Japanese. He's a fashion kid.
He looks like a Japanese boy. Like if you drew it on an Ozu cover, it looks like that.
Yes,
Wait,
yes.
let's look
There,
at this
show
Ozu
it,
cover
show
right
it.
there. There's no kid on that. He is also the only son,
Yeah, he is the only son. Yes.
and there was a father.
There
in that
was a
film.
father.
There were many. Those are the. If you can't read that, that's the films on the table right now.
Yes.
There's
And-
also Iron Man 2 and the Decalogue.
What a collection, man.
I don't buy any of these. I only bought the Decalogue.
I thought you were gonna say the Iron Man 2.
I didn't buy that. It appeared in my room one day.
Wow.
There was a time junior year when the Wesleyan bookstore, Red and Black, was selling for like $1 each, like I think like 15 copies of Twilight. And so I bought them all.
But all of
and
them.
then
What?
I think I remember.
Yeah. And then senior
You
year,
were-
I
you
offloaded
were-
them all on
yeah,
our
you-
friend Adam.
How much were they?
Yes,
again?
yes, I remember you giving them to Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He still has some of them.
My God.
Some. What happened to the rest of them?
They're repatriated somewhere.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Remember when I was thinking about doing Catherine Hardwicke for the podcast?
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
think.
we
It could still
should.
happen.
It could still happen.
We could do her
still
Quibi
happen.
miniseries.
Okay, no.
No, she has a movie called 13 that's really fucked up, but quite
yeah,
good.
you've talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We could do it. We could
Okay.
do it in the future.
Okay.
Twilight is really good.
We're pushing to.
Twilight is
I want to
really
eat those
good.
corn fritters. I want to eat the corn fritters.
I'm such a
They
big
look so good.
unagi fan. I just
Oh yeah,
came
we're talking
back
about
from
food right now.
yeah.
That was the last question.
Yeah, I just came back from
No,
Japan
those,
and I had
the corn tempura look amazing.
Yes.
The fried ones.
yes,
Mm.
I had unagi like 3 times in the span
Yeah.
of like 1 week.
This film doesn't show you the unagi up close, right? Did I miss
No,
it?
but I knew it was there.
Yeah.
They had the
I need
they
to
had
see
the
them
boxes, the
glistening.
unagi boxes. They only eat
That's not
unagi in those
true.
boxes.
I did
They
tell.
eat other things in those boxes.
I knew it was unagi.
Sorry, I blanked. I blanked. I don't know.
No other food.
What a dumb shit will I say? Yukari is really cute.
Yeah.
I've entered the stage of my life where divorced mothers are really hot. I'm like,
I'm not gonna comment on that.
like, oh.
Jesus.
Thank you for listening.
So out of pocket, but okay.
Are we gonna close it on that? Are we literally gonna close it on that?
We basically already said this, but I do want to reiterate how lovely it was to just sit
Yes.
on a couch together and watch a movie.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I hope we could just do this more.
Same.
We can.
We're gonna go
Your
watch
hit is
DD
cut off right now,
probably.
Wilson.
That's okay. Maybe we can do a little.
You're teasing our series on
On what's up? What's happening?
the Headless Woman.
Oh, Lucretia Martel.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, is that happening? Wait, what?
Probably.
I don't even know.
We're promising a lot of things on this
Yeah.
episode.
I'm not committing to anything.
Writing checks we can't cash.
Blank check, no check.
You
Sorry.
face the camera.
Yes. I'm basic the
Yeah.
camera.
What else I want to say about this movie? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're still walking. It's like the thing that we can share, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like one of those big movies, like our
Yeah.
previous episode, EE. Big movie.
Yeah. And I don't know. That's something
The
else I
deep
can say.
cut canon.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're getting to share this with our listeners so they
Agreed.
can also enjoy this movie with us and,
Yeah.
and
Agreed.
hear us talk about it.
I feel like the thing I want to do is maybe watch Still Walking with more people.
Oh,
Yeah.
like do a stream?
Sorry?
Like do a stream of it?
No, just
No,
like in person.
screen it
Oh.
at,
Just
a,
with people.
at a thing.
Because it was so nice doing it with you guys, and I feel like I would like to share it with more people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like I think recently I also like shared like for example boyfriends and girlfriends with people, and I'm like, oh, I love playing watching
I'm
this
sure
shit with
that,
people,
that plays
That
so
plays so
well in
well.
a crowd.
and
So
I'm thinking
good.
about like EE as well. Like watching somebody watch EE for the first time is always like
It's life changing.
it's like
life-changing
watching
for
your
them.
life change in front of my eyes is like incredible.
Yeah.
Still Walking is probably the same, and then.
Mhm.
Boyfriends and girlfriends less so, but it's fun to watch people have
But
fun with that movie.
Yeah, it's just such a good
Yeah,
time.
so I
so
think-
good.
And especially with Still Walking, I think depending on the person, it could be like really the movie they need.
Mm,
You know?
Yeah.
And it's hard to say who that person is, but for some people, it is the movie they need and they don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for that person to watch that movie.
Maybe I should watch it with my mom. I don't know.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Ooh.
I don't think we have things to work through like that, but
But she might get it. I don't know.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, cool. Interesting. Interesting film to watch with your parents.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you watch this with your dad.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I think EE is the one that I'm like, yeah, I'll watch this with my parents, but I think it's too much for people.
I've also watched
Ooh.
E with
I
my
think
parents, yeah.
It's too much.
Whew, yeah.
We're too Asian.
Yeah.
It might hit too many.
Hit too many buttons.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
then Still Walking would might be a good like gentler watch.
A little gateway drug
Yeah, gateway drug to opening up to your parents.
to EE. Just hard drugs. EE.
But you know, there's something that's really special about sharing art that you love
Yeah.
with people that you care about. And it
Yeah.
also sometimes feels kind of scary because it's like,
It
here's
does.
this thing I love and I care about your opinion. So
Yeah.
if I show you this and you don't like it,
You
like
hate it.
it's gonna change my relationship to this
Yeah.
piece of art.
Yeah.
But it's an act of trust and opening up in the way that the family members in Still Walking would benefit from doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open up.
I think maybe the big thing about this movie is that because it's not this cohesive kind of thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to try to tell you this message. There's no like clear plot.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very open-ended movie in terms of the way that you access it and the way that you engage with it.
Mm.
And it allows you to have very free-form conversations about what family is and could be like
Yeah.
and how it applies. And in that sense, it's a very open movie that helps suggest and like creates conversation.
Yeah.
right? Which is why it's really great for
I
the
like that.
family because then it's like, okay, then here's the scenes that gonna maybe unlock something for us if we choose to talk about it after the movie.
Right.
It is,
Right.
yeah.
So I think it has that power, which I think that's
does.
why it's so good.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Kore-eda didn't need to make a movie like it anymore, because I feel like he just said what he needed to say.
It's true.
Yeah. So maybe we should not seek that from him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need him to make another Still Walking. There's
I just need
Yeah,
to
he
make
can do what
a
he wants.
good looking movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shoplifters looks good.
it does. I think
Yeah,
it does.
looks better than Monster. I think Monster is
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's he
that's
making
fine.
next?
What is Kore-eda making
What's he
next?
working on now?
I don't
Do I
know.
know?
We'll find out. I saw
Oh.
him at there's pictures of him at a film festival with Mani Ratnam's wife
Wait, what?
recently. She posted on Instagram.
way
she
you
was-
said that.
Mani Ratnam's wife's cheating on him with Hirokazu Kore-eda. You heard it here first.
Wait till film Twitter gets a hold of this, boys.
But I was like, wow, crazy link up. I'll show you guys the photo later. We're
Wow,
off mic.
You're really doing that thug life.
Yeah. Kore-eda's having a brat summer. That's what he's having.
He deserves it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, listeners and watchers,
mm.
for following us on this extremely chaotic recording.
Yeah.
Where you get to see us be extremely messy and also hear us be extremely messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this has been a really nice time
Agreed.
It has
recording this.
It has
Yeah, so what else should we do? What's happening?
Yeah.
Hug it out.
Oh my god. I am being squished.
You can follow us on
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so if you like this and also in audio form only, you
Yes.
can follow Deep Cut on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Mhm.
And you can also find us on
rate review. Subscribe.
rate,
that,
review,
review, and
subscribe, so
subscribe.
people can find us. And you can also join our Discord server to talk about this movie or any of our other episodes or other movies you're watching, TV, whatever.
Or a meme you found.
And follow us on Instagram,
Mm,
X.
X,
Facebook.
Facebook, Letterboxd, whatever,
Yeah.
at Deep Cut Pod.
Yes.
And you can find us also on Patreon now, which you can subscribe for free. So that's how you're watching this right now.
Yeah.
If you're an early subscriber, for free to watch this. And if you want to give us some monetary support, we would really appreciate it. But don't feel pressured to do
pressured
that. Just
to.
come hang out with us. We just
And to
want more
clarify,
people.
it goes into the functioning of the show.
Yeah,
So that we can
do this more often.
compensate the people who help us make the show.
Yeah.
Yes. And compensate ourselves for making the show. Well, hopefully in the future.
Well, yeah.
Not so soon. Not so soon.
Someday, maybe.
Yeah. And oh wait. I feel
Oh,
like-
and also on the Patreon, we're open to suggestions, and we will
Yeah.
take the Patreon ones first.
yeah. So this is the first time we actually revisited a director. So we're planning to allow people who are supporting us to vote on other
Oh,
films that we are revisiting from the so-called deep cut canon that we're talking. that we kind of
Deep
call
cut
it.
back up.
It's a
Yeah.
deep canon now. It's
deep cut
kind of
canon.
crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We cover a lot of filmmakers.
Yeah.
And so if you want to vote on what that film could be, it could be, I don't know, Kelly Reichardt, Wiseman?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No one's gonna vote for Wiseman.
What else? I got so many others.
I gotta
Another Kore-eda.
Gotta call in friend.
Yeah, donate $100 US per month.
Mr. Wiseman, I know you're in your
Gotta pay for
late
votes.
90s. Can you register for Patreon so you can vote for yourself to
So
cover
we
it on our
cover
podcast?
That's okay. We just call Zipporah and ask them to help.
Yeah,
The campaign.
yeah.
Hello, Erica.
Erica.
Shout out
Shout out
Erica.
Erica.
The realist.
And yeah, you can find all these links to all that I just spitball at deepcutpod.com.
Yes.
Yes,
And that's it.
that's it.
I'm Wilson.
I'm Ben.
I'm Eli. Take
care,
care, and we're looking forward to talking about more movies with you next time.
No, we didn't do the credits.
Oh,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna cut this in somehow.
Yeah.
We
Um,
forgot to do this, but Deep Cut is produced, and this episode is gonna be edited by maybe me.
Thank you.
And our cover art is done by Justina Yam,
Mm-hmm.
and our theme song is composed by the one and only Eli Sand.
Okay, take it away, Eli.
I'm Wilson. What? Wait, what do I say?
You're supposed to sing the song.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's
duh,
why I said take it
duh.
away.
All the deeps are cut.
Oh.
Deeps are cut.